Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Drive. Today we have something very special, a pioneer, an icon, and future classic, the BMW i8. And we're going to find out why this was the best-selling BMW sports car in the history of BMW. But before we do, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like our video and follow us on all digital platforms. Let's start the review. So the first thing I thought when I saw this thing driving around town is it looks like a fighting jet. It is incredibly designed and looks absolutely beautiful. It is only purpose of the design is to be as efficient as possible, as aerodynamic as humanly possible, to give the car a future look and the future way of driving, of being efficient. So at the front we have, of course, big angles, big cuts, openings to push the car down. The kidneys here look beautiful because they're not too big, they're not in the new style. In length they're more wide, so this is kind of the last one that really looks appealing for me. There's a lot to talk about while sitting on the body, on the chassis, because it is very advanced. So I'm sitting on this monocoque style, which looks like carbon fiber, but it's actually called CFRP, which is a carbon fiber reinforced plastic, makes the car very stable and helps it, of course, when going around corner. Also, it makes it very light. The car is a hybrid system car, of course, electric engine in the front, petrol engine in the back. The batteries are stored in the middle part here where the central console is, so it has a very low center of gravity, helps it, of course, when going around corners, makes it faster. And it makes it incredibly great balanced. It has a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. Let me close the door to show you the design from the side view, but just while closing you can tell it is so lightweight. The doors are insanely easy to close. Let's discuss the design even further because the aerodynamics are very interesting in my perspective. We have openings in the front that are reducing the drag, letting the air travel around the tire and being channeled here at the back part. So because the car is a sports car and it needs to be fast around corners, they had to make it recklessly but still beautiful looking aerodynamic design. So we have big openings here. You can actually put your hand in here, very deep cuts, and plus the same thing here that looks very interesting and is pushing the car down and kind of in the spoiler form happens underneath the car. So when you come here to see where the air travels, it looks exactly the same. It is pushing the car down and has flaps like on an F360. I've seen that before. It has flaps down there, push it even down further. Coming to the back, I'm not really a fan of the back design of the car. I think it is a little bit unmatching to the beauty of the front, but it is futuristic and was kind of a symbol of a new way of BMW. So it looks nice, but it's not a 10 from my perspective. I wish they would have finished this line here of the taillight up there, so it kind of gives me more of that old school BMW style. But hey, I mean, this is a very advanced car and that's what it looks like from beneath. You cannot see any openings, there's no diffuser or anything like that, but what we do have is the exhaust pipes here. Let's talk about something practical, which would be the boot space. So for that, press the button, open the boot to expose to you the smallest boot I've ever seen on a car. Even though this is a sports car, it's really very small. There's maybe a sport bag that can fit in here or the charging cable set, and that's about it. As soon as you remove the lid, it's really frustrating, and the engine sits right underneath here, so there is no boot capacity. But put it on the back seats. That would be a great idea. The front engine, the electrical one, produces 131 horsepower and 250 newton meters of torque and is a 2-speed gearbox. The back engine is a turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, 1.5 liters displacement, and produces 231 horsepower and 350 newton meters of torque. So combined that gives us 362 horsepower and 570 newton meters of torque. Accelerates the car from 0 to 100 in 4.4 seconds, tops out at 250 kph and uses about 2.1 liter of fuel, as they say. Friends, welcome to the inside of this BMW i8. Let me talk about something first, and then we're gonna address the design slightly, because the car has been built with the intentions to use materials that are going to be reusable. So inside here, in the 2012 where they built the car, they didn't have Sensatec, so the leather imitation, they just had leather. But they used leather for this car out of Germany directly. So the seats are leather, of course, the armrest here is leather, the door panels on the side are leather, steering wheel, dashboard, etc., to give this premium look. We can debate whether this is reusable or not, but this is not the point out of the car, because it's a 10-year-old car almost, and it looks very nice. We have this dark brown with those beige kind of grayish leather combination, which looks very nice. Stitchings all around, Harman Kardon sound system, and something they have used almost as the pioneer is the Ambiente light in 2012 in here. So this is very interesting to see that. Other than that, very simple, very clean. Little room for the back seats. We're going to check that out later. And this is basically it. The iDrive system, when I start up the car, very funny sound comes up, is outdated by now, 2012 of course. But you see what they presented to be a futuristic car came to life today, because we only have a digital screen. So in the middle and on the left side. This is very nice. I like the interior. So getting into the i8 is a very difficult task itself, because just sitting in the front wheels, you have to sit here first and then kind of letting yourself slide in like this, and then move your foot inside to be able to drive. Getting out also, but getting into the back seats seems impossible. So let's try that. For that, pull on the handle. Let me make this as smooth as possible. So one leg at a time. All right, like this. Well, that went better than I thought, but the space in here is really maybe if you have an emergency for a quick stop with your friends, all right, but other than that, even children are not going to be able to fit in here. Knee space none, head space none. So emergency okay, more than that I don't think so. And getting out, yeah. Thank God I do sports. All right, friends, welcome to the first drive of the BMW i8. I'm currently in Eco Pro mode. We are driving very slow. I'm just finding out about the car. So we're now in electric mode, and it's driving very nicely, silently through the wood. Just turning a little bit to get a feel. The car is very low, of course, plus it has a low center of gravity, so it feels very good driving. The tires are also very nice. It feels very stable. It doesn't tilt to the left or right side. Very nice and stable drive. Let me put it into comfort. Now the power gets slightly more because it uses the petrol engine also when you press the throttle a little more. The brakes are very aggressive, but I need to find out how fast this car actually is. For that, I'm going to put it into sport mode. You don't put it into sport mode while pressing the button. You just have to move your gear lever to the left side. Now we are in sports mode. All right. So just a quick throttle. I want to see how it accelerates, so to understand if I need to be careful or not. Oh, all right. That's not bad. It's not that spectacular at first, but then as it gets into second gear, very good. All right. Wow, you feel the electric engine kind of responding a little faster than the petrol engine, I feel like. So the petrol engine has a slight delay to catch up with the electric engine, which is very funny. Let's use the pedals for shifting. We are now in sports mode, so we should be able to drive a little bit more sporty. Shifts are nice. The engine sound is kind of strange, to be honest. It's an interesting feeling, really, because like I said, you feel the front wheels you feel it accelerating while the car is pushing behind. So you have like a feeling of two separate engines really that are working together. This is very interesting, but in no ways bad or anything like that. I just want to test the cornering performance. It has a perfect 50-50 weight distribution, so it should go around corners very nicely. And just by going into the first kind of corners, it feels very nice and sporty to me. Stepped on the throttle. Whoa! It really pushes you into the seat. You really can tell that there is something going on in here. Oh, yo, yo. It's a very nice experience. Let's try to drive a little bit more sporty. I'm going to turn the ESP off. DST is off, so now we are fully in charge. I feel very good driving this car, to be honest. Oy, oy, oy. It's not going to be the hardest suspension you have ever felt. It's not like a supercar. It is more of something in between, but it's not like a Grand Tourer. This is also not the right description. It feels very sporty, but while it feels very sporty, the suspension is working so fine that you cannot tell how fast you're actually going, to be honest, because on other suspension you really can tell you're bumping on those mountain roads through forests, etc. But here it's very fast, let me tell you. All in all, it's a great driver's car, really. I know it might not be the thing you wanted to hear, but it's a great driver's car compared to other sports cars. It doesn't feel like it has 360 horsepower to me. It feels like it's at 450, maybe because of the electric engine. It accelerates very nice and sharp. You can tell as soon as you step on the throttle, your insides are pushed into the seats. Very nice. And also what is beautiful is you can drive it very ecologically. So that we're gonna do that now. I think it's a great sports car, and I'm very interested in driving this car even further, really. And to be honest, if the future is expected to be electric and you want like very ecological drive, etc., I would consider driving one of these, really, because now I'm in comfort mode, and just because I've driven the small part inside of the forest, it charged up the electric engine, and now I'm driving electrically. So that is really beautiful, really. I think it's very nice. It's so silent in here. It feels so smooth. The tires are great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to drive as ecological as possible. So for that, let me put the car into Eco Pro, and I'm going to give you an update in about 20 minutes. We are now at 1.7 liters at 100 kilometers, hovering just around there because the engine switches off the petrol engine and goes fully electric. There are some things though you can do. You can put the car into, you see that I'm now in comfort mode. You hear the normal engine pushing the car, accelerating to about 80 kilometers an hour. System output 50%, all right? So what I can do now is I can say, you know what? I don't want to use the petrol engine. I have 11 kilometers of reach left. I'm just going to drive with the electric engine called eDrive. So what I do then is I press the eDrive system. When fully charged, the electric engine drives 55 kilometers solely electric. This was actually the most sold sports car BMW has ever produced. 20,500 pieces of an i8 were actually built and sold. The production came to an end in 2020, which is very sad, so I'm not sure if they're going to release something like that anymore, but this is a beautiful, beautiful experience, really. I would be excited to find out how it is after 300 kilometers, but I expect it really to hover around 3 to 4 liters at maximum. The first 100 kilometers you're going to drive at 2 liters, of course, electric engine 55 kilometers, and then the rest in petrol engine. But it's very nice, and with the click of a button, just do that. Just put it to the left side. You're driving a sports car. And a real sports car, man. Sounds great, of course. The sound is fake, but it sounds great. It is a nice experience, and that's what the driver of an i8 wants. To be honest, I see myself in this car, really, and I could imagine driving it. Really, I could imagine driving it as a daily. It's really comfortable. Plus, as soon as you press the sport button, put a gear knob to the left side, it's really aggressive also. And you're charging the batteries while driving in sports mode, so I would do that all the time. I'd like to take this chance to thank Remo Auto for giving us so beautiful cars like this one. Special cars that really are for drivers. And through Remo Auto, I'm able to show you those beautiful cars which are actually for sale. You can buy them on their page. If you're interested, go to remoauto.ch to see all of those beautiful cars. They're going to help you out, of course, for everything, financing, whatever you need. Thanks to Victor, thanks to Oli, thanks to Paddy for giving me this beautiful car again. And yeah, just to sum up what the i8 experience is for me, really, I have a sports car. I have a Vantage at home, and I've really fell in love with the i8 because it is simple yet technology advanced. So you have this e-drive, this electric engine, this mode you can just drive electrically 55 kilometers when fully charged. And you have a petrol engine, 3-cylinder, which sounds very aggressive and pushes the car really good, 231 horsepower through those corners. So it's very nice to drive. If you want it to be more of a rear-wheel driven car, you just put it in sport. If you want it to be a fully front-wheel drive car, you just put it in e-drive. Very interesting. If you want it to be an all-wheel driven car, just driving comfort, it's very nice. It's beautiful, a beautiful experience, and it's very easy to drive this thing. The petrol engine is not going to be maintained often. The electric engine just rotates, of course. The batteries sit right underneath this middle part. It's beautiful. I'm now driving at 3.5 liters. I accelerated a couple of times, full step, and I mean, you would drive this car at around 3 to 4 liters per 100 kilometers on a long trip, for example, 400 or 500 kilometers. So this is very nice, beautiful car. If you appreciate our content, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the video, that would help us out. Go to Instagram, TikTok, follow us there. And friends, see you on the next one. Thank you, goodbye.